So now we're ready to display a list of tracks for a specific album, but before we need to request this data from Spotify Web API, should we need to create a new store for that?
Right. So the grid will go here where it's red. And you're right, Olga, grids display one row for every record in the store, so we need a store that holds the tracks. So let me go into our code. And what I can do is I can copy part of what we did here in app.js. This has more than we need, but it's kind of a good starting point. So I'll just paste that here and make a few changes. So first, we're going to call it tracks. Secondly, we don't need these fields. And then a couple of other things. We're only loading this data as the user selects an album, right? So we can't put the URL here. We have to do it dynamically.
When we know what album is selected, at this moment we will know what URL we will need to use to load our data, right?
Right. And that means auto load true. That's not relevant.
And headers should be also deleted because we moved this functionality.
Right. Okay. So that's pretty good.
I believe root property should be changed, but we will see once we will load data.
Right. Okay. So yeah, again, so that root property was relevant for albums, but for tracks, it's probably something different. So now the place where we get the new album is down here in component did update. So here's where we need to load that data. So I need to say this dot tracks load. And what we're going to say, instead of specifying the URL here, we're going to specify it here.
So every time when you do not specify autoload true, you need to call load method on a store manually at some moment in your code.
And I think it's called href. I'm just going to take a peek here. So if we look in the data feed from before, so this is just, releases. And if we drill down here, and if we look at items, I just want to verify the name of that property. There it is, href. So there, href. All right. So now if I save, I'm just kind of proofreading here. I guess it looks okay. This, I should set that to null, actually.
False.
Or false is what we did. Okay, so what should happen is, as soon as I select an album, we'll see another call here. There it is. And then now we can inspect this and see what was returned. So it looks like it's in tracks, items.
And this we can use for root property for our reader.
So here, tracks.
So we're ready to insert our grid.
Right, so this is where we're going to put the grid. So let me head out to the API docs. And I'm already on the docs for grid. And here's a little example. So I'll just copy this.
So grid is a subclass of data view that we have used earlier. But one important thing is about grid is that allows you to display different columns, and it will be a row for every single record in your data store.
So I'll just go ahead and copy this.
And for our case, we will use two columns. In one column, we will show name of the track, and in second column, we will show its duration, like its length.
So here, let me kind of clean this up. So now I'm using grid. I have to import it. Oops. And column.
And you need to set flex 1 on this grid.
And then let me go down here. Oh yeah, I do. Okay. Oops. And then also, we don't really need column headers for this. It's sort of self-explanatory what these titles are. And grids have a property that can turn the header off. So I forget what it's called. So let me see here.
Hide headers.
Hide headers. Yeah, there it is. Good thing there's API documentation. All right, so let me kind of proofread. So we're saying the grid takes up all the space on the left because we're HBox. We're not showing the headers. This is reflecting, I better plug in here in a minute. This is reflecting our tracks store. Then we have one column showing the name. This text is ignored because we're hiding the headers. So I guess
we can check it.
We'll try it out. All right, I'm never all that confident. Okay, here we go. Hey, it worked.
Great, we are ready to add second column and show direct duration.
All right, so yeah, now we need that second column. Now for that, now there's many different column types. You can use a column to show Boolean values. There's many specialized columns. So there's Boolean, numbers, dates. You can show charting elements. You can actually show any component you want inside of a cell. If none of those do what you need, so in our case, we're just doing a special calculation and we have to show the result of that, right? So the data feed is showing us the duration in milliseconds, and we want to show that as minutes, seconds. So we have to do some, arithmetic here. So to do that, we have to provide what's called a renderer. So if we say renderer, and then set that to an arrow function, or any function.
But first of all, we need to change data index, and it should be duration underscore ms.
Oh, thanks. And we would have seen that, and again, I don't want to save yet because my code's in a broken state, but here, let me look. Just a second here. I'm going to look at those tracks. That's album. Here we go, tracks, items, and I just want to inspect the data. So we can see there's a name property, and then here's what Olga just mentioned, duration underscore ms. So that's what we'll be looking at in the second column. All right, so
ms,
thank you. I don't know why I keep doing that. All right, so I'll hit save here. And now there's one special point. These renderers actually use a different code package. Now I've already added that, but it's important for me to show you. So over in Webpack config, here, I had to add that. Now actually, if I didn't have this, if I were to delete that and then restart my app, I'd have a runtime error and it would complain about render cell not being defined. So it's in a different code package, and just the way we have to do it in ExtReact, we have to come into Webpack config and configure it right there.
And of course you need to install this package as npm, but it was already installed in our package.json file.
Okay, so then let me think here. Now I have to put something in that renderer. So first, just to get the idea across, in my renderer, I'm going to say return hi, right? So I'll just return a string just so that we can see if it's working. So if we look at our app, see how it says hi here? So it's really just displaying the result of whatever we return inside of that function. All right, so Olga, help me figure out what we need to do here.
We need to calculate count of minutes and seconds. So convert milliseconds into minutes and seconds. First, constant minutes.
Okay.
And we will do mass.floor and ms divided to 1000. To get seconds, and divided to 60 to get minutes. Okay. And second, we will get count of seconds, seconds. But we need to get only those seconds that is less than a minute, that is left after calculating minutes. So you do the same, and then you do percent 60.
All right, so this will give us the total number of seconds, but we only want the seconds beyond some even number of minutes. So that's why this modulo is here. All
and
right.
We need to return a string that will concatenate these two values.
All right, so what do I do there then? So I'm going to
return first minutes,
and then colon,
and then seconds. But we need to part seconds because it could be 1 second, and we always need to show like 2-digit seconds. We need to convert it to string because now it's just like a number to string, and then pad start.
Okay, pad start, and then what's the syntax?
2 digits, and second parameter is like 0, string 0.
All right, and then I guess that's it.
Yeah, should be.
All right, so let's take a look.
Yeah, it looks great, but I guess we need to style this column a bit. Instead of using flex1, we can specify a hard-coded number because it always will be like 4 digits. We can use with 80 and align center.
All right, so let's see how this ended up looking.
Looks great.
All right.
Now we're ready to play our songs.
All right, we'll do that next time.